8 citizens killed, over 140 people injured in a fire that engulfed a government-run hospital in Mumbai. One day after the incident, damning proof of killer negligence has emerged.
Did ground floor have the fire NOC?
I said the ground floor building is old building.
Okay.
So there was no NOC.
Not even for the ground floor. We are sure about that.
No.
The onus to ensure the building is compliant lies with the government and authorities who are responsible for Mumbai's Employee State Insurance Corporation Kamgar Hospital.
It is the responsibility of owner or occupier to check the system installed by him, check and maintain the system through license agency appointed under the section 10 of this act, and to take a fitness certificate of fire prevention and protection system twice a year, and shall submit the fitness certificate to the authorities in the month of January and July.
Provisional NOC was only given for the 5th floor, but there was no fire NOC at all for ground plus 4 floors.
As helpless citizens died of asphyxiation, Mirror now found glaring lapses. Not only was the hospital not fire compliant, the existing firefighting equipment was inaccessible. Further, eyewitnesses claimed that neither the fire alarm nor the sprinklers worked during the fire. A 2-month-old baby was among the 8 who died in the fire. Mirror now asks, why has no F.I.R. been filed in the case? Why was the hospital even allowed to function if the building was not fire compliant? Let's debate.
Good evening. 8 people died in the deadly fire that engulfed a government-run hospital in Mumbai last night. 8 people who went to this hospital to be saved. 8 people who went for treatment, for medical help, to get better. But instead, criminal negligence, sheer criminal negligence by the government murdered them. And I will tell you how this is completely the Maharashtra government's responsibility. It's a government-run hospital for their own employees in that region. And yet they couldn't be bothered to ensure that rules are followed, that safety compliance laws are observed, that a 5-floor hospital with hundreds of patients has enough safety gear which is installed, that they have proper exit routes. They couldn't be bothered. Now there is confusion. Mirror Now's team has spent the last 24 hours going from one authority to the other to get a better picture of what were the permissions that were in place or not in place for this hospital. It turns out, from as things stand right now, that this hospital that has been running for over 30 years now, this building at least, has no NOC, no objection certificate by the fire department. Can you imagine that? How can we ever believe that the buildings we live in, that the places we work in, that the houses we live in, that the hospitals we go to are safe if a government-run hospital for its own is not safe? So tonight we will demand accountability, but we will also point out the lapses, and we will fix individual accountability where all have the authorities failed. And we will expose to you one by one each lapse that has been uncovered by the Mirror Now team. Let's say good evening to our panelists. I have Rajiv Mishra, RTI activist, joining us this evening. Aniket Nikam, criminal lawyer. Makran Narvekar, spokesperson for the BJP. Clyde Crasto, spokesperson for the NCP. But I'm going to first go across to Mr. Pratap Karubekar. He is a former chief fire officer. And I want to understand from him, for a fire department official, for the authorities, how does it function? So when it comes to a hospital, what rules, what procedure do you all follow for checking and auditing and safety?
The first and the foremost important thing is in a hospital, there will be so many patients, unconscious patients, undergone some major surgeries and all, recuperating in the various areas. The point over here is when it comes to life safety, which is paramount importance as far as any building is concerned, when it is especially hospitals, all passive and active measures are required to be finalized at the initial stage only. Whatever provisional NOCs may be there back, our 2 decades back, whatever may be, but with the time 2005 National Building Code came in, 16 is one of the most important thing which has given more thought and given more specific requirements what to be done. Once the Maharashtra Life Safety and Fire Prevention Act, Fire Prevention and Life Safety Act major came in force from 2006, and then we have to adhere to all this recent 2016 requirements very explicitly, but this was not done. My point is very simple. When the one more additional floor was added to, it was the duty of the particular officials who are inspecting it, auditing it, to see that it is in toto rather than in particularly separate aspect part of it, because 4th floor is part and parcel of the old building, and then it went for a renovation. Now when it comes to renovation, the recent codes which are required to be implemented, that has been ignored. When it comes to hospital, the evacuation is the last resort. Evacuation only happens in hospital horizontally to the nearest place. If everything is being ignored in this case, when life is important, everyone,
right,
all requirements should have been in place, or otherwise the hospital should have been given a stop notice.
Right, but that didn't happen. And I want to also bring the attention of our viewers to the set of visuals that we got last night from this hospital. Our reporter who was there spotted this entire group of cylinders that was just stacked in one corner. And then she went around several parts of the hospital where there were no fire equipment, fire safety equipment, fire extinguishers which had been installed. As blatant as this, these are the kind of lapses that we found on ground. So, Mr. Makrand Narvekar, good evening to you. Who are you going to punish for this criminal negligence, this murder?
The Honorable Chief Minister has already initiated an inquiry, he's ordered an inquiry into this. And of course, what has happened is absolutely unfortunate. And, whoever is involved in this or whoever is responsible for this should be brought to books. I believe the police has already initiated their investigation in this. A Panchnama has been filed. So their investigation will surely bring out who is guilty, and they, like Kamla Mills, is a live example in front of us. Where the guilty are, all these months, they were behind the bars. So I'm sure in this case also, nothing will be spared to ensure that the guilty is held responsible.
Well, so in Kamla Mills, in the instance of those 2 cafes who were flouting the norms, the owners were arrested very quickly and were in jail, were sent to jail very quickly. So now who's in the government who should be sent to jail for this? Which part of the government officer, minister should be sent to jail?
So Tanvi, it's a clear case that the Director General of ESIC should be.
It is, we have.
1 minute, Mr. Makrand.
We have to understand one thing.
I will come back to you. Yes, I will come back to you. Clyde was just making a point. Let him finish.
So the point I like to make here is, you were talking about who should be held responsible. Right now, immediately what we need to do is the government should, register a case of 304. And the Director General of ESIC should be questioned, because he is the one who is responsible. After the Union Carbide issue in our country, there's a law that says that the one who heads the institution or the organization should be held responsible for something like this. So it's the clear case of culpable homicide, and case of 304 should be registered, because this is a serious issue. I mean, in the last few years, you've been seeing what is happening. After that, if there's no seriousness, like Mr. Pratap said, if the fire brigade had gone there and did an audit there, did not find anything, that is compliant to the fire brigade, they should have immediately stopped the hospital, shifted all the patients to different hospitals, nearby hospitals, and stopped the functioning of the hospital, because this is a serious matter. And if they had done that in 10-12 days ago when that audit was done, then this incident would have not happened. Or even if this incident would happen, there wouldn't be any patient in the hospital. We would have not lost lives. People would have not been in danger. So there's callousness there everywhere. Whoever was in charge, the fire brigade officers, the government, all have to be pulled up. You cannot just go say that we have to institute an inquiry. You can't just have an inquiry. Why don't you just take action immediately? So it's right in front of you. The laws are in front of you. Register a case of 304.
So the ESIC chairman, to begin with, has to be held accountable. But in a city where there have been 48,434 fire accidents that have been reported in just the period of 10 years, I think some amount of accountability has to come from within the government departments and the ministers. What kind of message are you sending? How many more fire tragedies do you need? And that also these kinds, where there are patients involved. These are people who perhaps will not be able to walk. These are people who are on life support. These are people who are in intensive care unit, little children, infants. Nobody to save them as the fire engulfed that building. Now, for more clarity, I want to play out this conversation that our correspondent Santya had with the Deputy Fire Chief. We played out an excerpt. Here is some more, which will bring clarity and which will help us fix accountability right now. Listen into this conversation.
When we spoke, you told us that how there was no fire NOC for first, second, third and fourth floor. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, because it is being old building, whatever NOC and etc. became mandatory. That is after, as I said, after DC rule came in force and Fire Act. Earlier, this type of provision was not there.
Coming back to the ground floor, because as far as the preliminary report is concerned, that's where the fire started from. The ground floor, did ground floor have the fire NOC?
I said the ground floor building is old building.
Okay.
So there was no NOC.
Not even for the ground floor. We are sure about that. So did this hospital ever applied for
I said in
fire
2009, in the year 2009, then when they started a proposed construction, prior to that, they took our provisional fire approval. We prescribed the...
but that's for the 5th floor, sir.
5th floor and old building, new building at the back side.
But these ground plus 4th floor, they never applied for any fire NOC.
No.
So again, the important question here is that these ground plus 4th floors never had any fire NOC. How can a building be functional and operational in a city like Mumbai, which has witnessed something like Kamla Mills, which has no fire NOC at all?
On this, I think ESIS authorities can comment.
But isn't it the job of fire department also, sir, to go and check? Because after Kamla Mills, fire department was conducting inquiries and inspections in different structures to see whether the guidelines were followed or not. So MIDC fire department did not do that, sir?
We certainly do it, right? But the inspections are carried out if the inspection application comes to us for provisional or final approval. As per the subsection 3 of section 3 of Fire Act, it is the responsibility of owner or occupier to check the system installed by him, check and maintain the system through license agency appointed under the section 10 of this act, and to take a fitness certificate of fire prevention and protection system twice a year, and shall submit the fitness certificate to the authorities in the month of January and July.
Now, before I go to other panelists, I just want Pratap sir's response on what the Deputy Chief of Fire Department was telling us. How is it possible, sir, that the fire department goes and checks one floor, the 5th floor, the topmost floor of the hospital, but doesn't check the other floors? Is that procedure?
No, I think I totally do disagree with the particular information what is given by the officer who has inspected this. The point comes over here is when you talk of a particular provision LOCs, then part OC, all those things, occupation part of it, doesn't comparatively apply to the hospitals because the nature of business which has been done there is at a life-saving point. Every patient goes over to save their lives. He may have so many diseases. He realized that yes, I am safe here. But in this case, the fire service officer should have see that you have inspected the entire building and subsequently taken a decision. If suppose the firefighting requirements were not there, but still minimum requirement which were there for an hospital, especially in hospital, whether it's high rise or low rise is not the point here. The point is life saving equipments are part and parcel, so also the firefighting also.
Yes.
Minimum whatever requirement is not there.
Yes. So they went and checked whether there are smoke alarms and fire extinguishers on one floor. बट नीचे आग लग जाएगी तो उसका हमें नहीं पता क्या होगा, क्योंकि वो नीचे अगर आग लग गई तो वो उस फ्लोर की प्रॉब्लम है, इस फ्लोर का हमें बस देखना है.
There's a complete lax attitude, among the fire officers. So another point that you should note here is that if you see that building has a new glass facade, yes, which has apparently been installed recently. Now, if these fire officers went there and they were checking about, for the fire compliance, so, to give a certificate, they should have noted that the gaps between the glass facade and the building. Because I think that from the reports that are coming in, that was one of the main reasons where, not just because of the fire, but due to the smoke. And since there was no gap between the building and the glass, the smoke could not pass out through. So people died due to suffocation. Yeah. So this is another important aspect. I think every aspect, every point should be noted, and whoever was doing that inspection should be pulled up as to why they did not go through all these important aspects.
Absolutely. Mr. Rajiv Mishra, what is your own sense of who should be held accountable here?
तन्वी, मैं सबसे बड़ा बात तो ये कहना चाहूँगा आपको कि देखो, हमारे यहाँ लॉ तो सब बने, किसी भी चीज़ को हम लोग विदाउट लॉ नहीं कर सकते हैं, लेकिन आप देखो कितनी बड़ी नेग्लिजेंस है यहाँ पे कि फायर ऑफिसर जो बोल रहे हैं उनके अनुसार जिस तरीके से वो बता रहे हैं, भले 5वां फ्लोर का वो चेकिंग करने गए हो, वो खुद एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं कि हर 6 महीने पर फायर ऑडिट होना जरूरी है. वो खुद बोल रहे हैं नए एक्ट के अनुसार जो 2009 में इंप्लीमेंट हो गया है. अब उनके पास क्या वो ऑडिट रिपोर्ट नहीं था? 15 दिन पहले उन्होंने नोटिस दिया है, तो नोटिस क्या बिना सारे ऑडिट रिपोर्ट्स को चेक किए उन्होंने दे दिया है? आखिर किस आधार पे उन्होंने दिया 15 दिन पहले नोटिस? और सबसे बड़ी बात तन्वी कि उस बिल्डिंग को ओसी नहीं है, ऑक्यूपेंसी सर्टिफिकेट नहीं है. ये तो मेजर, आप मेरे को बताओ तन्वी, जिस बिल्डिंग को ओसी नहीं है, हाउ दिस बिल्डिंग इज ऑक्युपाइड और फॉर हॉस्पिटल. ये आप देखो कि एक गवर्नमेंट बिल्डिंग है, अगर आप देखो तो ये गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल है, गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइज्ड हॉस्पिटल है. वैसी स्थिति में विदाउट ओसी के बिल्डिंग में आप कैसे इतना बड़ा हॉस्पिटल चला सकते हो? ये सोचने वाली बात है. और मैं तो केवल इतना बोलता हूं कि इतना सारा लॉ होने के बावजूद एवरी लॉ का पनिशमेंट भी निर्धारित है, एवरी लॉ के इंप्लीमेंटेशन का तरीका भी निर्धारित है, सारी चीजें हैं, फिर भी हमारे यहां जिस तरह का नेग्लिजेंस हो रहा है उससे यह मालूम चलता है कि पैसे के आगे लोगों की जान का कोई वैल्यू नहीं है और लोग अपनी जेब भरने के लिए किसी भी तरीके से रूल्स को वायलेट कर रहे हैं. ये बिल्कुल क्लियर दिखाई दे रहा है. और इसके पीछे सबसे बड़ा रीजन ये है कि कभी भी किसी भी बड़े इंसिडेंट के बाद कोई भी गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर को अकाउंटेबल नहीं फिक्स किया गया और उनके ऊपर कार्रवाई नहीं हुई. अगर अकाउंटेबिलिटी फिक्स होती रहती, एक एक एक्सीडेंट को गंभीरता से लिया जाता और अकाउंटेबिलिटी फिक्स की गई होती थी, तो आज किसी ऑफिसर की ताकत नहीं थी कि वो इतना बड़ा क्रिमिनल नेग्लिजेंस करता था. ये चीज जो नहीं हो रहा है और जो नार्वेकर साहब बोल रहे हैं, मैं तो उनको एक ही बात बोलता हूं, नार्वेकर साहब ऐसे कितने हादसे आपको चाहिए अकाउंटेबिलिटी फिक्स करने के लिए और इमीडिएट गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर्स पर कार्रवाई करने के लिए आपको कितने हादसे चाहिए? बताइए, कितने हादसे का वेट आप करना चाहते हो? सो बताओ आपने. बताइए
नार्वेकर जी, बताइए कितने और हादसे आपको चाहिए और क्या आपने अकाउंटेबिलिटी आज तक फिक्स की है?
I will take that.
जी, go ahead please.
Exactly. Now let's understand what we are, the broader picture of this is. The buildings were constructed, one was constructed in 1973, the other one was started construction in 2009. Today, I would totally agree with what the gentleman is saying that यहाँ पे rules है, लेकिन जो एक प्रथा गए 60 साल में जो आपने देखा था कि हम करे सो कायदा, अगर आप देखेंगे आज, I will go by the statistics that are available for anyone in public domain. If you see the maximum 65 to 70% of the fires that have occurred since, in the last 15 years, if you see, 65 to 70% have occurred prior to 2014. Understand the point I'm trying to make here.
Oh, come on. I am asking you, I am asking you, what is it that your government has done? Can you not play politics here, please?
Let me complete. In the last 3 years, over 5,000 properties have been inspected by the fire department. And what else would you call accountability? जो चीज पहले नहीं होती थी, आज वो चीज हो रही है।
ऐसे ही इंस्पेक्शन कर रहे हैं क्या? नहीं, वो ऐसे ही इंस्पेक्शन कर रहे हैं क्या कि एक फ्लोर चेक करके आ गए? नो, मकरंद नार्वेकर, I don't, firstly, let me make this clear, please, Makaran Narvekar, I do not care, neither does this country and the people of this country care about whether you think it was unfortunate or fortunate. Nobody cares about that. Nobody wants your sympathies. We want action.
No,
what kind of action are you talking about?
You must also understand.
No, I don't want to know whether or not you have audited 5,000 buildings. Accountability comes from when there is a lapse found and you take action. What action have you taken against corrupt officials and erring officials? What action have you taken? And what kind of audit are you talking about? एक फ्लोर चेक करके आगे बाकी पूरी बिल्डिंग छोड़ दी, ये है ऑडिट करने का तरीका।
Which is exactly why last, tell me that you go through your statistics. आप पहले कब होता था इन्वेस्टिगेशन, ये इंक्वायरी या इन्वेस्टिगेशन? आज अगर आप देखेंगे 3 साल में गए 5,000 प्रॉपर्टीज को इंस्पेक्ट करवाया है, किसी ने तो इनिशिएट किया है ना।
आप लोग इस तरह के इंस्पेक्शन कर रहे थे इसलिए कमला मिल्स में हुआ, इस तरह के इंस्पेक्शन कर रहे थे इसलिए एल्फिस्टन के बिल्डिंग में आग लगी, इस तरह के इंस्पेक्शन कर रहे थे इसलिए ईएसआईसी बिल्डिंग में आग लगी, इस तरह का इंस्पेक्शन आप कर रहे हैं।
कमला मिल्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू, व्हेन यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट अकाउंटेबिलिटी, यू हैव अ लाइव एग्जांपल।
Which is what?
Kamla Mills, Elphiston building, ESIC building. This is the kind of audit you are doing.
So tell me, what has been the accountability in the Kamla Mills case?
आप अगर आज एक पौधा लगाते हैं,
नहीं, आप मुझे बताएं
रिजल्ट्स ऑफ इट।
नहीं,
इन द इयर्स टू कम।
आप मुझे ये बता दें, आप मुझे ये बता दें,
60 साल का
how many government officials, BMC officials and fire department officials have been punished in the Kamla Mills incident, in the other Parel residential building fire that took place after that in Elphinstone? How many people have been punished? Tell me. In the 5,000 buildings that were audited.
Why are you looking at government or non-government?
I am asking you. You said there has been accountability.
I am going a step further.
No. What have you done? What have you done after these two incidents? What have you done after these two incidents?
I'm telling you, look
how
at your
many government/BMC officials have been punished?
Hasn't that set as an example before us?
Which is the example? That you sent two owners of 2 cafes to
road
jail?
Scam. Today.
What's the accountability of the government officials?
If you want to just,
what is the accountability of Maharashtra government? What is the accountability of the Maharashtra government?
If one wants to talk against the, I purely go by statistics. If you look at the statistics, you tell me today, आप जो बोल रहे हैं कि मेजर फायर्स हुए, आप बताइए।
ठीक है, राजीव मिश्रा जी, आपको मेजर स्टैटिस्टिक्स देंगे।
16 मेजर, 15, 16, 20 मेजर फायर लीजिए।
जी, नहीं, आपको स्टैटिस्टिक्स चाहिए।
You look at statistics.
नार्वेकर साहब, मैं आपको स्टैटिस्टिक्स देता हूं। नार्वेकर साहब, मैं आपको स्टैटिस्टिक्स देता हूं। आपको याद होगा लक्की कंपाउंड, मुंब्रा का लक्की कंपाउंड।
आज के पहले
नार्वेकर साहब, मेरा स्टैटिस्टिक्स तो सुन लीजिए आप।
बात सुनिए।
नहीं, मुझे राजीव मिश्रा जी को बात करने दीजिए और फिर मुझे अनिकेत निकम के पास भी जाना है। राजीव मिश्रा जी।
नार्वेकर साहब, आपको लक्की कंपाउंड मुंब्रा का याद होगा जिसमें 77 लोगों की जान गई थी, आपको याद है? उसके बाद आपने एक लॉ बनाया डिजिग्नेटेड ऑफिसर का, कि जिस डिजिग्नेटेड ऑफिसर के अंतर्गत 2012 में लॉ बना कि जिस डिजिग्नेटेड ऑफिसर्स के अंतर्गत एक भी इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन या एक भी इलीगल बिल्डिंग्स बनती हुई पाई जाएगी, उसको आप पनिश करेंगे, 3 महीने की जेल होगी और 20,000 रुपए का दंड होगा।
आप मेरे को बता दीजिए कि 2012 से लेकर 2018 गवर्नमेंट किसी की भी रही हो, मैं गवर्नमेंट से सवाल कर रहा हूं, कितने डिजिग्नेटेड ऑफिसर्स को आपने पनिश किया है? और आपका गवर्नमेंट वो है जिसने ये कहा कि 31 दिसंबर 2015 तक जितने भी इल्लीगल बिल्डिंग्स बने हैं, चाहे वो 36 मीटर की हाइट तक के, 36 मीटर्स की हाइट तक के जितने भी इल्लीगल बिल्डिंग्स हैं, उसको हम रेगुलराइज करेंगे विदाउट एवरी कॉम्प्रोमाइज ऑफ एवरी सेफ्टी। आप सारे सेफ्टी को कॉम्प्रोमाइज करके उसको रेगुलराइज करने जा रहे थे। ये स्टैटिक्स है आपके गवर्नमेंट का, जिसको कि चैलेंज कर करके हाईकोर्ट ने तोड़ा। आप स्टैटिस्टिक्स की बात कर रहे हो, मैं सिर्फ इतना कह रहा हूं कि आप लोगों ने कभी कैलिवर नहीं दिखाई कि हां किसी गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर्स को आप पनिश करो। जिस दिन आप गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर्स को पनिश करना शुरू कर दोगे, उस दिन से यह स्थिति तेजी से सुधर जाएगी, ये मेरा कहना है।
Mr. Narvekar, that was my question exactly. You quoted 2 examples. Why don't you tell me in those 2 examples how many government officials have been criminally prosecuted?
I will tell you. Probably you are not aware. And even if you look at the designated officers that were created in 2012. After that also, today chief, आप बताइए, गए 60 साल की हिस्ट्री आप खोलिए और मुझे बताइए कब चीफ इंजीनियर बीएमसी के चीफ इंजीनियर को जेल में जाना पड़ा था? आज गए, आज 13 इंजीनियर सुनिए, अगर आप सवाल पूछते हैं तो जवाब भी सुनिए। आप अगर सवाल पूछते हैं तो जवाब भी सुनिए। 13 अधिकारी बीएमसी के इंजीनियर्स जेल में बैठे, ये किसने डाला? एक्शन ली थी।
नहीं तो आप वही कॉन्ट्रैक्टर जिसको रोड के काम के लिए ब्लैकलिस्ट किया है जय कुमार को, उसको आप जाकर मेट्रो का काम देते हैं। यही काम आप कर रहे हैं ना?
ये डिफरेंट इशू है।
मैं आपके साथ पूरी तरह सहमत हूँ। 2012 में जो आप बोल रहे हैं ये हुआ था, मैं आपके साथ पूरी तरह सहमत हूँ। लेकिन आज 2014 के बाद अगर आप देखेंगे तो 13 अधिकारी इंजीनियर बीएमसी के जेल में बैठे, चीफ इंजीनियर बीएमसी का जेल में बैठा।
Mr. Narvekar, every time you speak about the record of the last 70 years, 10 years, whatever record of the government you want to talk about, please also remember the last 20 years record of the BMC that's constantly being run by your party and the Shiv Sena. And the accountability there.
Perfectly.
The record reflects there as
comes
well.
Under the BMC.
So I'm going to go across to Aniket Nikam and ask him, Aniket, what is are the rules and laws so complex that we never see government officials be held criminally liable for these kind of negligence cases?
Tanvi, let me first tell you that, as we all know, it is a very unfortunate event. Now, 8 people have lost their lives and the responsibility has to be fixed. We have heard that there were permissions that were not there, even the OC was not there. That is what one of the panelists had also stated. In such a situation, the occupiers of the building are also responsible, and along with them are also all those persons from the government within whose jurisdiction was it to see whether the required permissions are there or not. And if it is seen that there was lapse on their duty, then they could also be charged for the offence of abetment and for the purpose and with the main offender itself who have occupying and who have been running that building. Having said that, this is a case where the incident has occurred and it's been more than 12 hours since the incident took place. However, there is no registration of F.I.R. as yet, number one. Number two, in a case like this, we have seen in Kamala Mill's case as well that the police have registered an offence under 304 part 2, which is culpable homicide not amounting to murder, but it requires that you have a knowledge that because of your conduct, you have put the life of others in risk. Now, knowing that there is no fire in OC, knowing that there is no OC, knowing that there are no requisite permissions with the building and with the occupiers of that said building, it was extremely unreasonable on part of those persons who were occupying that building to continue with it in the absence of these permissions. And apart from them, even the persons who are, apart from those people, the government officials whose responsibility it was to see that those permissions are in place, or if the permissions are not in place, they should have issued stop work or some other action, coercive action taken against them. And it is seen when they have not taken action against them, then they would also be held liable and responsible for these acts.
Now, there is one other concerning part that I want to raise here, which is the rules themselves. Now, the new rules suggest that the building owner has to go and seek and get an NOC from the fire department. If that doesn't happen, nobody is going to bother to check. I think that's a very large gaping hole and a very big concern in this city. There are thousands of builders who've either still have the control over the building or given it up to societies. Are we just opening ourselves to more tragedies, or is it because the fire department is not capable of personally going and checking all the buildings that we've come up with this rule? Mr. Pratap?
The enactment by the government in 2006, the Maharashtra Fire Prevention and Life Safety Act measure, and again the National Building Code being a part and parcel of this particular act, 15 meters and above are all high-rise buildings. And in this case, this is not 100% in the high-rise building. Again, it's in a hospital. Now the point comes over here is all the passive as well as active measures which are required, especially when I talk about this being in a hospital is a very sensitive issue. So that whatever requirements, firefighting requirements which are required to be there should have been in place, unless the smoke detectors which are there required. This is a fundamental requirement, basic requirements of any particular firefighting measures, passive as well as active measures. When it is already 15 meters above in 2009 onwards, part of it, when it was the act was already there, all the requirements which are there should have been in place. Or if it was not there, then probably the stop notice should have been given. This is a very simple case. This accident would have, unfortunate thing, people have died. The concept of hospital is such that I will have a proper treatment. My life is safe.
Yes.
This sort of ideas which will definitely, if this certain accident takes place, especially in hospitals, then people will have in the contrary.
Absolutely. And you know, it's not just that I am going to hospital, I'm unwell, I have a serious problem, I need treatment, but apparently the authorities expect you to first find out if the hospital is fire compliant, and if the hospital does have an NOC or a permission a compliance certificate, how old is it? Because it could be 10 years old and the hospital could have made newer construction, made changes to the structure, and you wouldn't know. तो अगर आदमी ये सब देखे या अपना ट्रीटमेंट कराए, आदमी ये सब देखे बाहर जब काम पे जाए, बाहर जब खाने के लिए जाए या खुद के घर में रहे, तो ये सब देखे या अपने दुनिया के बाकी काम करे. I do not understand these set of regulations.
No, but now when you look at this becomes a serious case of carelessness, because the fire brigade officers were there. They went there a couple of weeks ago and they got to know that there was no fire compliance. So this becomes more serious issue, because all these officers need to be pulled up, because when they knew that there was no fire audit being done or there was no fire compliance, it's going to cause a sort of danger. And this has led to this. If like I said earlier, if they had pulled up the concerned authorities and made sure all the necessary action was taken, even if there was a fire, probably would have not lost these lives. And if they were not be able to comply to this, they should have stopped the hospital, moved the patients, and even if there was a fire, we would have not lost lives. So I think the government to take this seriously. The officers who neglected this should be pulled up, and like I said earlier, cases should be registered. The Director General of ESIC should be pulled up. All this has to be done immediately. Inquiry, just announcing an inquiry is not enough. You need to actually get into action right away.
Yes, Mr. Mishra.
तन्वी, एक चीज और होना चाहिए कि ये जो भी इंक्वायरी हो रही है ना, इसके जितने भी डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं, जैसे हॉस्पिटल के एस्टेब्लिशमेंट के लिए क्या क्या चीजें जरूरी होती हैं एज पर GDCR, वो सारी चीजों का वहां फॉलो अप किया गया कि नहीं. क्लिनिक एस्टेब्लिशमेंट एक्ट है एक अलग से, कि अगर आपको कोई क्लिनिक एस्टेब्लिश करनी है तो उसका एक्ट अलग है, उसमें सारे प्रोविजंस को चेक करने के बाद ही क्लिनिक को एस्टेब्लिशमेंट करने का परमिशन दिया जाता है. तो ये सारी चीजों को ट्रांसपेरेंट तरीके से कम आप जैसे चैनल के पास तो जरूर देना चाहिए कि अगर उन्होंने जो बिल्डिंग बनाया है वो हॉस्पिटल बिल्डिंग के अनुसार जो नॉर्म्स है हॉस्पिटल बिल्डिंग से उसको फॉलो किया गया है कि नहीं किया गया है. उसके अलावा अगर ओसी नहीं हुई है तो किस परिस्थिति में उसको ऑक्यूपेंसी करके वो हॉस्पिटल चलाया जा रहा था. ये सारी चीजें क्लियर बताती हैं कि देयर इज ए लैक ऑफ क्रिमिनल नेग्लिजेंस, मतलब देयर इज मतलब टू मच.
मिस्टर नार्वेकर, क्या आप हमें इस बात पे क्लैरिटी, कैन यू कंफर्म दिस फॉर अस, वेदर और नॉट द ऑक्यूपेशन सर्टिफिकेट वाज गिवन to this hospital building, this specific building? Will you be able to confirm that for us?
No, I think the investigation... Sorry.
Will you be able to confirm it for us whether or not
Come
this
again?
government-run hospital had an occupation certificate?
No, I think the investigation is going on, and the police has definitely, I don't think there's any reason to doubt our judicial system, our police force. The investigation is going on, and whoever is guilty will definitely be brought to books. There's absolutely no two ways about it.
जुडिशियल सिस्टम पे आदमी कहाँ डाउट कर, आपके इन्वेस्टिगेशन पे डाउट है, आपके
इन्वेस्टिगेशन
पे डाउट है, जुडिशियल सिस्टम पे डाउट नहीं है.
और
इन्वेस्टिगेशन अभी इन्वेस्टिगेशन पे डाउट अभी आप जज
पिछले 4-4.5 साल में जो एक्सपीरियंस है उसके आधार पे बोला जा रहा है.
अलग बात है, लेकिन पुलिस आप ये कहना चाहते हैं क्या कि कोई इलीगैलिटी हो रही है अभी? There is no the due process of law is being followed.
The due process of law always gets followed according to politicians, but the due process of law somehow sometimes misses the guilty people, the most important people. I will yet again one more time highlight this case. If I sit here and count, nobody is jumping the gun here, Mr. Narvekar. It's very, very clear. This is a government-run hospital. We want government officials behind bars. 8 people have been killed because of criminal negligence, because nobody bothered to check if there are safety compliances being met of a hospital, no less. If in a city like Mumbai, we cannot ensure that the authorities and the right officials do their job to at least ensure safety of our hospitals, to at least properly check if they are fire compliant, if they have the necessary systems in place for an occupation certificate. If we can't do that for the hospitals in a city, then the entire system has crumbled. And the BJP must explain to us what it has done in the past 4.5 years about it. I refuse to take this, oh, the incident is so unfortunate, due course will be followed kind of an explanation. We want action, we want people behind bars at this point of time. And we are going to follow up on this story. We are going to get you voices of those who've lost people. We are going to get you voices of the employees of that hospital who tell us there was absolutely never a safety drill that was carried out, a fire drill that was carried out in that hospital. Never. So the ESIC chairman has a lot to explain to us. 8 lives have been lost. We are not going to take this lightly. Thank you so much for joining us.